Yeah, I still hear feedback. Let me see. Okay.
All right, we're gonna give everybody a second.
Yeah, I'm not sure what.
It's normally Instagram.
I think I did. Is that better?
Yes, better.
Okay.
We're gonna give everybody a second. Let me see. Thank you. We are live now on Facebook. Actually, they're telling me, Ericka, that there's still a little feedback on your end.
Okay, is this any better?
Let's see. No.
No, I still hear you echoing all over the place.
Yeah.
All right, then let me see if this.
It's the Facebook one that is.
It's the Zoom one.
All right. Just give us 1 second here, you guys.
I have it turned. I have the media turned down as far as it will go, but it's
okay. Actually, I think that's good. Let me see.
I still hear you echoing somewhere, but I don't know what is happening.
Yeah, mine's off. So, on the Zoom one, you have it down as far as it can go.
Yep, I have my volume.
Okay. They say we are good to go now.
Awesome.
All right. Welcome everybody. Welcome to another Brandon's briefing, live briefing. Thank you all for joining us. For joining us, everybody. We are going live today with a very, very, very special guest. One of my favorite people in the world, Erricka Bridgeford, founder of Baltimore Ceasefire, boss of Brandon Scott. More importantly, thank Ericka for joining us. We're going to be talking about our mental and emotional well-being during this public health pandemic. We have to stay at home as much as possible and go out, but what does that mean for us? But before we go there, I want to start by simply going through the numbers and doing one last check of the note. Ericka, you know what?
So when I moved it, I made it worse. I got to keep them away from each other, I think.
There we go. Is it still an echo now? Can you still hear echo?
It's way better now on my end.
You think is it good now? Are we good now?
I think when I move my thing around, it makes it worse if I move them closer together.
I don't know. I'm trying to figure out. Yeah, give us a second. We're gonna try to figure this thing out, everybody. Because they're telling me, Ericka, it is that is happening because mine's on mute. So
okay. Oh, can I put my phone on mute? Okay, I had so it's not letting me turn the end call volume all the way down. It has everything. The media is down.
You can't turn the volume down on it at all. What about on the laptop?
On the iPad, it's all the way down, and that's where I'm on Instagram.
Okay, where you on? Oh, you're on Zoom.
I'm on Zoom on my phone.
On your phone?
Mm-hmm.
Cause I turned my Zoom, my volume on my phone is like down as low as it can go, and that's where I'm listening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. My encode volume is down as far as it will go, but it won't turn it all the way down. So it's doing this weird thing. I don't know if you can, you can't see what I'm trying to
Oh
show
yeah.
you. Yeah. Oh, wait.
Can you mute the IG, the iPad? Let's try that. I'm waiting for somebody to call you Teddy Riley in the comment.
What is this? Oh my Lord. It is on mute. On the iPad, it's on mute, and that's on Instagram.
Really? Oh, are we good now, everybody? Oh, I think we might be good, Ericka. Oh, yeah, they can't hear you on Zoom. Okay. Unmute yourself on Zoom real quickly.
Okay, I'm unmuted on Zoom now.
All right. What about now? Let's see.
Technology is great right up until
It
it
is.
like
They're telling me
screws you.
we're good to go now. So we're gonna
Okay. I'm gonna just keep holding the phone way over here.
No, that's fine. You got to put it over so they can see your face. All I see is your ear.
Yeah. Oh, on IG. Okay, I got it.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's
I
hard to
got
get
you
the phone.
now.
So before I turn it over to Ericka. We're gonna start out by just telling everyone about where we are with COVID. There are 13,684 cases in the state of Maryland as of today. 516 deaths statewide. As of today, there are 1,511 confirmed cases and 49 out of the 516 deaths here in Baltimore City. So again, everyone, please to be mindful and take care of yourselves and practice social distancing. There is no council meeting today. Was no council meeting today, but we'll be meeting next Monday night at 5 p.m. and you'll be able to watch that on the internet as well. But you should know that our council hearings are starting this week. We will make sure that you can see that. You'll be able to offer testimony on piece of legislation directly to council members by using the WebEx platform. We've been troubleshooting this with my staff to make sure that you can do it at council hearings. We learn more about the substance of a piece of legislation, hear from agencies connected to the bill, and always want to hear directly from the public. This is a great time to get involved in the work that your local government is doing. You can watch any of these hearings on Charm TV if you have Comcast TV 25 in the city, or charmtvbaltimore.com. You can see what hearings are coming up. And if you go to baltimore.legistar.com, we'll put that link for you guys and click calendar. And there's a bunch coming up. I have a charter amendment tomorrow. We have charter amendments tomorrow talking about the removal of elected officials from office, changing the way that we have a committee of powers for our city auditor and a charter review commission. Also, we have important legislation about the Children and Youth Fund, establishment of a permanent fiscal agent. So tomorrow is a very important day for the council. But you guys did not come here tonight to talk about that with us. You came here to hear from our wonderful guest, someone who I think is one of the most important people, but one of the nicest soul in Baltimore City, someone that I've had the pleasure to know and be bossed around by for quite some time, Erricka Bridgeford. Ericka, I think that everyone watching knows who you are, but I want you to just, for those that might be some on Instagram or Facebook who don't know who you are, just tell everyone about yourself, what you do, and how you believe Baltimore should be operating, and then I'm going to get to asking you some questions.
Hi, everybody. So my name is Erricka Bridgeford. I am co-founder and co-organizer of Baltimore Ceasefire 365, where we organize 4 times a year at least to celebrate life and to call for peace around the city. So I'll be talking more about our work in this conversation. That's mostly what I'm known for right now. I do other stuff, but I'm the peace lady around Baltimore right now.
Yes, you are. She's Peacemaker of the Year. I actually had to present that a few years ago.
I was
So
I
Ericka,
was also Marylander of the Year and Baltimorean of the Year. So I Baltimore and Maryland did better than everybody in 2017.
that's right. Or Human of the Year, if it's up to me. Mm. So
Thank
Eric,
you.
we know that like in Baltimore, we are no stranger to dealing with grief and trauma. COVID-19 has been devastating for families in Baltimore, and because of social distancing, people can't gather to grieve in the ways that they normally would. How are you seeing the community dealing with grief right now, and how are you trying to help people with grief in this very, very tough time?
So things that I've seen people doing is, only a few family members, immediate family, are allowed to be inside of funeral homes. And so people will do what we're doing right now. They'll stream live on different social media platforms, or they'll create some kind of Zoom meeting or something. And then everybody in the family will know to go to those particular links to participate in things. Um, I saw some information from Roberta's house today where they were giving a lot of information and just suggestions to people about just reaching out to each other a lot more. I think people are just, texting each other more and calling each other more and all of that kind of stuff. Because it's not just the funeral, like we're used to even having repasts, and now people can't do those kinds of things. In Baltimore Ceasefire, we've been so the violence epidemic was an epidemic before COVID-19. It
That's
still
right.
is. It will still be an epidemic after we figured out the virus. And so while murders are still happening, we're still going to bless those murder spaces, but we're just moving differently in the way we do that. And we've been, again, streaming live so that people can participate virtually in those sacred space rituals to honor the life lost and to pour love into the spaces for those families. And so while we're out, at a time where people are being told to stay in the house, this particular epidemic is exacerbating root causes of violence. Like our most vulnerable populations are people who are not able to be in the house. They have living instability and
Right.
all kinds of things. And so while we're out in communities, talking to people about what they're going through, it's a great opportunity to give people, connect people to resources. We are also going to be, we created a cash app to give out face masks because, a lot of people can't even afford to get a face mask, or it's
And
the
can't
last
afford
thing.
to cut one of their
Right.
shirts up either.
Exactly. Like this is one of my only shirts. I can't be cutting my shirt up. Then I'll have one less shirt to wear. And so something that might seem simple to a lot of people is not to a whole lot of people. And so something like a face mask can be huge for somebody. And so we created a cash app that's just for collecting money to give out free Baltimore Ceasefire face masks around the city, and all of the money that we're not spending on printing posters and flyers this go around, we're using that money to also buy face masks to give away.
And Erica, can you talk about like how, even though it's different, like how you guys are starting to continue something I've been saying too. We're understanding we have two crises, but
Yeah.
managing ceasefire and also remind everyone when the next ceasefire weekend is too.
Yeah. So the idea about Baltimore Ceasefire is to just inject hope into the city on purpose 4 times a year. And so we know that this feeling of hopelessness and murder is this thing that seems like you as one person, there's nothing you can possibly do about it. And at the same time, you can't throw a rock in Baltimore without hitting somebody who's been impacted by violence. And so it's touching everybody and making everybody feel hopeless. So this movement is a way that people can do very small to very big things to say, instead of nurturing a culture of violence, we're nurturing a culture of peace. And we believe that Baltimore deserves to celebrate life. And so every February, May, August, and November, the very first Friday through Sunday, we call Ceasefire Weekends. And it's a peace challenge too. So you can be as peaceful as you can be, even if you weren't planning on killing anybody that weekend. Are you as peaceful as you could be? Probably not. And so it's a peace challenge as well. And the next one is Mother's Day weekend. So that Friday, 8th, 9th, and 10th. And the amazing thing is the 9th is the actual birthday of the ceasefire. So that was when we had our very first public meeting on May 9th. And that's where the movement got named Baltimore Ceasefire. And so we do it Mother's Day weekend to honor parents who've lost their children to violence, specifically fathers on that Saturday, because we know that when mothers lose their children, mothers don't play. They will be like, I'm naming the street after my kid. I'm starting a foundation in their name. Like
Right.
they don't play. Whereas fathers are somewhere often grieving in silence because of the way we socialize our men. That anger is kind of the only emotion we give men permission to show. And so when they're losing their children to violence,
Right. Fellas, it's okay to cry. It's okay to hug.
right. That's exactly right. And so we ask people to do events during that ceasefire weekend that honor fathers who lost their children as well, and to give them the support that they need. So this go round in this, weird time of social distancing, we are asking people to do virtual events that celebrate life and activity. So we've updated the ceasefire registration form to be able to put virtual events on there so that people can still come and attend your event, even if it's something online.
Erricka, can you tell us what the Cash App is so that we can put that in the chat?
Sure, it is $ Baltimore Ceasefire. We try to keep it simple.
Doesn't get more simple than that.
Yep. And so far, we've been able to buy 75 masks with the money that people have donated in just like maybe 2 or 3 days. And with the money we've already had, I ordered 125 masks. So that's not a lot, but we plan to just go to Penn North first and just like hand them out, So we're gonna purposely go to places where we know there are large populations of people, for whatever, a variety of reasons, they aren't in the house, and so we're going to make sure people get masks as much as we can.
And Erricka, this is something I think that is critical right now. What advice do you have for people who want to take care of their own mental and emotional well-being and those of the people that they love right now? Because it's very, very important and critical for people to understand that.
Understand that people who already suffer, for instance, with anxiety and depression, something like this, where it's just, we have collective grief right now, right? Where people are losing their jobs, people are unable to check on each other in the same way that they're used to. And so I've seen people doing creative things like making each other pen pals and mailing letters to each other, or but it's really important to be honest with yourself when you're feeling overwhelmed. So there's a difference between being informed and having information overload. And so this, with the mandates changing every time you turn around and all of that kind of thing, it can feel really overwhelming. And it is okay to disconnect from the amount of information that you're getting. Stop watching the news. Stop following every COVID-19 hashtag. Like, once you have enough information that you understand, okay, keep my butt in the house, wear a face mask if I need to go out, like wash my hands, sing the thong song while you're washing your hands, because that's exactly 20 seconds.
Listen to the Spotify playlist. That's what I do.
Yeah, the hook to the thong song is exactly 20 seconds. So you sing the
But that's not one of my favorites, as you know. So that.
But it's just more fun.
Baltimore.
Right.
Yesterday, I actually just took a drive. I just needed to do it. Like, you got to do what's good for you.
Yeah. So take walks, take drives, walk your dog. Be honest with people who you love that I'm not doing well. I'm feeling overwhelmed. Name it as sadness, depression, grief, anxiety, confusion. Like, name how you're really feeling, and so that you can get support from one another.
And then it's particularly about young people in conflict and communication. They're home from school, they're away from their friends, and now that you're being together, everyone being together all the time can cause conflict. What kind of advice did you have for adults about how to communicate with young people? Because now we're spending a lot more time with them. Like, what kind of stuff would you advise them to do?
Very good
And
question.
what and let me ask that question again. And what are you doing with the young people that live in your house?
So fortunately, all three of my children are essential workers, and they just leave me in the house every day with the young. So I don't have as much of a problem. But that was one of the reasons we started doing conflict management trainings for community members. And so if you go to our Facebook page, you'll see that we had conflict management trainings listed there to teach people some listening skills. So really listen deeply. Like at a time like this, understand that there are things that have already been a problem in your relationship that you have been ignoring and hoping would just go away. And now that you have to be stuck in the house with people, all of that stuff is going to be coming to the surface. So like take some responsibility for why things feel extra tense right now. Is that like for whatever reasons we haven't chosen to be honest and have hard conversations with each other before now. But then also really listen, even when you don't like what's being heard. Can you understand why the person feels that way? And remember that young people are people. Like saying, "Oh, you don't know nothing about what you stressed about." Like if you actually listen to them, they
Yeah.
got a lot to be stressed about. And teachers are sending more work now than they were sending kids home with before they were before outside closed. And especially seniors right now, high school seniors. I mean, they're very upset about not being able to graduate across the
Right.
stage and all of that kind of stuff. And so children have a lot of bottled up frustrations, just like adults do. And we need to really be listening and thinking about how we can work together to heal things. Don't shut our young people down just because they're young. Their emotions matter, their feelings matter. And you're gonna know that if you lose your child to violence in the streets, suddenly you'll realize how much you wish you had listened to them. So let's not let something tragic happen to realize how important their feelings are right now.
All right. So this is the question that everyone wants to know. You are a healer. You heal other people, Erricka. I know you've healed me on several occasions and saved me from going off the deep end more times than I can think. But what are you doing for yourself personally to make sure that you're maintaining good mental health throughout this?
That's a really good question. So my grandmother is 88 years old on my dad's side. She's my only living grandma. She's the matriarch. She's the last living of her immediate family. So she's the matriarch of our entire family. And I do a lot of listening to her. So she made everybody read a particular psalm every single day at a part of the day before I had to get her permission to even go out and bless murder spaces. So I promised her that I would only do it once a week and that I would call her first so she could pray over me before I go outside. And I come home and then I talk to her and I tell her about all the things that happen. So like using this time, I use it to talk to people more than I generally did before. I'm like a hodgepodge of religions. So like, so I pray, I chant, I do meditation. I'm drinking way more water than usual. I notice when I'm getting moody and irritated and feel like nubbing somebody in the throat. This is the nub, by the way, if you haven't met the nub. When I feel myself like about to just snap on somebody, I take a deep breath and go in my room by myself. Netflix is one of my favorite friends right now. So I binge watch things. Um, and I pay attention to what I'm eating because it's very easy right now to just gorge on things because we're in the house so much. And so I pay attention that I'm eating things that are more healthy for me than I normally would, and like cut back on onion rings and stuff like that. Funyuns, I cut back on Funyuns.
Good. Good.
Shut up,
Give me
woman.
those.
Nobody asked you, first of all. But I do the same things for myself that I do for other people. So my children will burn sage around me and smudge me, like so, and ask me how I'm doing, and we talk about those things. So, the things that I say other people should do, I'm paying attention to do those things for myself. Oh, the last thing I want to say is Zoom exhaustion is a real thing.
Amen to that.
Right. And so I've been limiting my screen time and really abiding more by my technology curfew. And so after 9 o'clock p.m., I tell people, if you still see me online somewhere, fuss at me and tell me to get my butt off, because my eyes got to be tired by now.
And so, Ericka, I got a couple more questions, and everybody send your questions in. So, I guess a couple of things for you. Tell me about two things. Tell me about some of the ways you've seen Baltimoreans come together during this pandemic. What kind of great stuff have you seen out in communities?
So one of my favorite things is the Baltimore Neighbors Network. Where people are, Zeke Cohen and other people in the city government have come together and partnered with community organizations like the Baltimore Community Mediation Center, to train people how to call elders in the community, to check in on them and make sure they aren't lonely and help them get resources that they need. I'm leading the inclusive listening and emotional intelligence part of that training for people who are going to be calling people. The amount of food drives and food giveaways that people are organizing has just been like astonishing to me, to see that much work being done. And when you are out and about and you're driving down the street, like, you run across several places that say that they're giving away fresh fruits and vegetables and things like that. So people are really paying attention to, again, those like root causes that we already have in our city.
Right.
Though people are really working hard to come together and address those things. But even things just like being friendlier to your essential workers. Like, I smile at the people at Giant so hard now, like, thank you so much for still being at work. Your mailman, the trash people, like people that you normally. Two of my kids work, like one of them is a manager at Chick-fil-A and one of them is in the kitchen. And I'm like, yeah, people thought y'all had a stupid job before, but now they happy that Chick-fil-A
That's
drive-through is
right.
still.
They need that. They want that milkshake. Oh, I want one right now, actually.
Right. And so, like, paying attention to being nice to the people that's working at the drive-through. Like, what if they weren't there? You might not have something to eat right now. So just being friendly and warm, I've seen a lot more people doing that.
Yeah. No, thank you. I think that's actually great. Ericka, this week marks the 5th-year anniversary of the death of Freddie Gray and the uprisings. Do you think that I know you do, had some lessons from the uprisings that will be that still resonate right now for Baltimore?
Yeah, absolutely. One of my favorite things, I call it the blessed Baltimore uprising, because so much happened then and immediately after and since. And one thing that I loved was how, if you were in the streets of Baltimore at the time, not if you were watching the news, because if you were watching the news, it was telling you something that was different. But if you were actually in the streets of Baltimore, what you saw is people helping one another. You saw people singing in the streets together. You saw if somebody was about to pop off at a police officer and escalate things, it wasn't police who had to calm them down. It was 20 community members would surround them and say, no, baby, calm down. It's not worth it, and talk to one another. And so that idea, people always say, we all need to come together and we need to help each other. And we need to, at that time, you couldn't breathe without somebody scheduling a community meeting to come talk about how to address needs in Baltimore. Like, there were meetings happening all over the city, being hosted by all kinds of organizations. New organizations, the Kids Safe Zone, and places like that came out of the uprising. And so a lot of the organizations that are now, grassroots and needing our funding and our support, they were created because of what happened with Freddie Gray. And so that spirit, that honoring that this man lost his life in a really horrible incident, and it made the city explode in some ways. And it wasn't just because of what happened to him, it was things that had been simmering, injustices in our city for years. And it made everybody stop and pay attention. It was, my grandbabies just came in. And so that spirit, right? That long live the spirit of the Baltimore uprising, that when we come together, we saw magic happen. And we're seeing a lot of that now with COVID-19. And I really implore people to remember and think about deeply that if we used all of the same measures and apply them to violence as we're applying around COVID-19 right now, we will reduce violence greatly, because it is a public health issue just like COVID-19 is.
Yeah, and I think that, and I think that's spot on. And when you talk about the uprising too, as you know, we spent time together doing it. The thing that I remember the most is just essentially, especially the day after, right, when we were all out at Penn North and walking all over the city, and thinking about like how people just came together and how people were de-escalating, but then also how people were just so hopeful and understanding that Baltimore can do this consistently all the time. And then actually, one of my favorite conversations around the uprising is the conversation that we had that led to the training program there's a police department, the youth dialogue training. I don't even know what time of night it was I called you. I can't remember. I just remember like 2 days later we were trying. What time was it?
You were like, yo, so clearly police and youth don't get along. What you gonna do about it? And I was like, well, all I know what to do is put people together who don't like each other to talk about stuff. If you get me some police and kids, I'll design a program. And
that's right.
And it worked. And like in the mediation, what's crazy is the mediation center in Baltimore still does police youth dialogues. It became a part of, for a while, it was a part of the police department's in-service training. And so every officer who went through in-service had to be a part of a police youth dialogue. And both officers and students were just transformed in ways that they absolutely didn't think they were going to be transformed in. And it gave us a model for police departments and communities around the state. And so now we've done these in Hagerstown, in Tacoma Park, DC won some across the Bay Bridge. Who even knew they had problems over there, And so we've been Prince George's County, we're about to start doing them in. And so again, from the uprising, police youth problems and community problems is not just a Baltimore thing. People like to act like it's just a Baltimore thing, but it's a cultural dysfunction that happens between police and community in many places. And so we've been able to give people a different way to actually talk to one another, have hard conversations, and decide for themselves the kind of relationships they want to build with each other.
Yeah, thank you. I think that is spot on. And I learned something because I didn't know that Prince George's in DC were trying to do it. So I think that's a great thing. We got a couple questions, Ericka. These are for me. We're going to see if more come in. I'm pretty sure some are going to come in from you. Someone said that the health department dashboard is not updated. I will make sure that it gets updated directly. We will do that. Any update on the homeless resolution that the council passed? No, we're still trying to communicate with the mayor's office to try to see if they would implement some of those things. So stay tuned. Someone asked, is it possible to get computers and internet access for all kids? Listen, we're working right now to distribute laptops. You should stay in tune. We're going to try to do even more of that, working with our school system and other partners. We know that Comcast is giving out these free hotspots for everyone in the city. You can go on their website and look at that. You can see that if you go to our BaltimoreCityCouncil.com, click COVID-19. We have the information there where you can see this information and be able to have access to it, because we want and understand that the digital divide is real. But we're going to be working on some things directly to help with that from the city council side as well. And then my neighborhood is fine. 21206 is fine. We do have a significant number of cases, not as many as 21215, trying to continue to update the citizens, making sure people are keeping themselves healthy, practicing social distancing. A lot of people aren't out and flowing around the neighborhood as much as it normally is. Unfortunately, we had a incident of violence in the neighborhood yesterday, where a young man was shot. He did survive, thankfully, and hopefully we'll be able to bring some sense of relief to him, his family, and that neighborhood. So thank you for all of the questions that we got. Any other questions that people have, please allow them to come in. But I'm going to do something that we've never done on any of these, Ericka, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to regret it. But I'm going to allow you to ask questions of me.
Okay. So I'm gonna ask you a fun question first. How are you dealing with your hair at a time like this?
Well, in case you haven't realized, I was the leader of the no haircut brigade, the no getting your hair done. So I caught a lot of flack for that, but people should know that I'm not getting my hair cut. This little fro that y'all see, that's just all berries and nutrients there. There's no haircut. I've been doing my own shape up, so bear with me. I did the myself and a bunch of young black elected men from around the country. You can see it on my Instagram. Did the don't rush challenge together, and people were like, "Oh, you got your goatee nice," and I'm thinking to myself, "Well, maybe my shape up don't look that bad." So I'm managing. It's a struggle, but I say that in all seriousness. As Easy Jackson said on Twitter today, and I retweeted it. Like, you getting your hair cut can be literally your barber cuts someone's hair that has it, gives it to you. You don't know. You give it to your grandmother, your mother, they die and go away. Do not do it. And very simply put, who you getting your hair cut for? Where you going? Where, like, you're not going anywhere. So just relax, be safe, and practice the best policy. And that's just, unless someone who lives with you is doing it, just don't get it done.
Okay, so my serious question is, so you might know that I'm involved in a suit about the spy planes, trying to stop them from flying around Baltimore. And when I talked to my dad about it, I don't know why my grandmother and my father, they need to know, like, what does Brandon think? You know, and so my mother was like, I like that young boy. What's his name? So he's talking about Brandon. Yes, I like him. As my dad does the same thing. He's like, well, what does Brandon think about the spy planes? And then I read somewhere that you were not for them, but I haven't had a chance to talk to you. I know why I don't want them to happen, but what are your thoughts about this level of surveillance in Baltimore?
Yeah, for me, Ericka, it's a bunch of things. Let me start with the simple thing first, and also let me say I saw your mom when I was shopping in the store recently. Uh, it's very simple. First and foremost, I am all about making sure that we're keeping people alive in Baltimore from violence. We had this in 20. They're like, oh, we're going to test it as a pilot. You already had a pilot. It didn't work. We had it in 2016. We had over 300 homicides in 2016. The police department, multiple police commissioners, including this one, has said that it didn't work, or in this case, he said it might have helped in one case. One, that's not enough. So let's put that out there first. It didn't work. Two, before I get to the other obvious reasons. Two, I said to him and anyone that'll listen that supporting this plane right now is like buying rims on a car when the engine is broken. No one would ever do that, right? The plane itself, in the MOU that I shared with everyone, it says that it relies on CCTV camera system and license plate reader units to be able to track people. Well, all of us all know that the camera system in the city is outdated. Many of them don't work from time to time. They're old. They need to be changed, right? So essentially, before I get my rims from my car, I'm gonna make sure the engine is working. and they haven't done that, right? We need the investment into those things first. Then you get into this whole point of one, should people be surveilled everywhere they go? Two, you have this company who every other city that they've tried to go into has told them to, as we would say here in Baltimore, kick rocks. Like, why are we going to be the guinea pig? What we should be doing in Baltimore is focusing in on things that we know work. And I've said to them, even if they wanted to do this investment as a policing tool, I said, well, for the amount of money they're going to donate for this plane, you could get 30 cameras and 40 license plate reader units a year, something that we know helps to work, right? That's what you have to do. But more importantly, we shouldn't be the guinea pig to some individual who not only wants to surveil people, who also wants to end public pensions. It's about who you're getting in bed with to begin with. And then the most important things is for me is that we know that this isn't going to help crime go down, right? The data shows that it didn't work the first time. And right now, as I said to them, if they're going to put it up now, I'm like, who is this availing when everyone's supposed to be at home? Right? So you're skewing the data in a bad point where we should be focused in on building up public safety in Baltimore by investing in making sure the police is operating the way they should. But we could be doing that investments into communities, making sure that we're building people up, expanding the way that Safe Streets, helping you guys out at Ceasefire, things that we know can directly impact violence. So that's what it is for me.
Right. Yeah. Thank you so much. I saw when I saw that you leaked the MOU, I was like, look at Brandon leaking stuff like a boss. That's how you use your power and your privilege. Leak some stuff that we can see. You're like, oh, they trying to be slick. The community know they trying to be slick. Yeah. Let me let the community know they try to be slick. I love it.
Someone asked a question I got here. Oh, will there be another testing site opening soon? So stay tuned for that. We know that now there's going to be some more testing. We know that the health department is working on trying to get that. So stay tuned. You'll be hearing about that in the very near future. Someone said, what if the National Guard came in to fight crime? No. The National Guard isn't trained for that. And I want to remind everybody that we had the National Guard here in 2015, right? And what happened after they were gone? They're not going to be here consistently. We have to build public safety in Baltimore by focusing in on the very few people who commit violence and dealing with them, creating that healing environment for those neighborhoods, providing the services and opportunity for them, helping people deal with their grief and trauma, helping people grow through education and job availability. That's how we're going to do it over the long term. Focusing in on one of my big things is focusing in on where these guns are coming from, because they're not coming from the city of Baltimore, right? We're going to have a strategy. We need a strategy for that. We can't just think that we're going to occupy the city and think that we're going to be safe. Let's see.
And something that I like for people to understand when they say that, oh, just bring in the National Guard or like bring in all of this military. I think people don't understand that the brain doesn't work that way, right? And so when you do things to make people feel targeted and more unsafe, which if you were around after Freddie Gray and you saw men walking around with guns bigger than you and on snipers on buildings and all kind of crazy stuff, that didn't actually make you feel safer. You felt more like you were in a war zone. And the way your brain responds to that is by going into fight, flight, or freeze mode. So actually, if military occupies Baltimore, people are going to feel more defensive, more up in arms, more irritable. And so they will escalate quicker in conflicts than they normally would, just because in a higher sense of my well-being is not safe. Because I literally see people running around guns all the time, and I don't know what they do. So even just visually, in the way the kind of visual depicted that would happen in a city, it would not be a mentally healthy thing to do to city of people to have them occupied by the military. It would literally make people more reactive.
Yep, thank you. Erricka, I think they said their mic is going, your mic went out, but we're almost done here. Someone asked a question about safer prisons and would transfer to safer streets, prison reform. So I've been something advocating for that, making sure that we're doing education, making sure we're changing the way we do our prisons. If you have a time, send me a direct message. I can follow up about that with you directly, as that's done mainly at the state level. So thank you for that question. Last question, Ericka, because I know everyone is jumping off to go watch it for you. Who you got? Teddy Riley, Babyface, or the Sound Man? The Sound Man. No. We'll see. We'll see. All right. Well, thank you, Ericka. You know I love you. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, everybody else, for joining us. Please be sure to practice social distancing. Stay safe, and make sure that you're staying healthy. And always be sure to follow the great work of the Ceasefire folks. And we'll see you guys at some virtual Ceasefire events. Peace.